This is First Coast News on your side at 5.
And our top story tonight at 5, Donald Trump will be the President of the United States once again. Thank you for joining us for First Coast News at 5. I'm Anthony Austin.
I'm Heather Crawford. So Trump is the second president ever elected to 2 non-consecutive terms.
Here's the 3 biggest headlines out of last night's election. Trump won or is leading in all 7 swing states, including Georgia. Republicans took the majority in the Senate. The battle for the House has not yet been decided.
Now, looking to the constitutional amendments on the ballot here in Florida, only 2 passed. The marijuana and the abortion amendment did not reach that 60% threshold needed to be passed. So we're going to have more on those coming up in just a few minutes.
But first, we want to focus a little bit more on the presidential race. Earlier this afternoon, in fact, probably just within the last 30 minutes or so, Vice President Kamala Harris called now President-elect Trump to concede the race. Well, she did that earlier, but then she spoke not too long ago.
That's right. And this is something that Trump did not do in 2020 when he lost to President Joe Biden. Now, within the last hour, we did hear from Vice President Kamala Harris for the first time since that race was called for Trump.
And she doubled down on having a peaceful transfer of power.
A fundamental principle of American democracy is that when we lose an election, we accept the results. That principle, as much as any other, distinguishes democracy from monarchy or tyranny. And anyone who seeks the public trust must honor it. At the same time, in our nation, we owe loyalty not to a president or a party, but to the Constitution of the United States.
And President-elect Trump declared victory overnight, thanking his supporters at his victory party here in Florida in West Palm Beach.
And every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve.
Now, leaders of both parties here in Duval County are reacting to Donald Trump's victory. Riley Phillips joins us live now from Jacksonville with their thoughts on the election results. So, Riley, what do they have to say?
Yes, I spoke with the chair of the Duval GOP and the Duval Democratic Party today. Both men talked about just how close the race was here in Duval County and how hard both parties worked throughout this election season to get their messages out to voters. However, the GOP chair here in Duval County, Dean Black, said he was not surprised by Trump's win. He says things turned out the way the Republican Party expected. The chair of the Duval Dems, Daniel Henry, says he's still trying to process the outcome of this race. He says he knows a lot of people are hurting right now, but he wants to remain hopeful for the future.
At the end of the day, a really good ground operation matters, and it delivers victories. And the Duval GOP has shown time after time after time that we are capable of winning elections consistently, not 100% of the time, but almost always, even with the Democrats having a small plurality of voter registration.
At least for me and for the Democratic Party, we've learned a lot in this race. We'll continue to learn more, but I still have hope. And regardless of these election results, I still believe in the better ideals of America and all of the themes that Vice President Harris ran on.
And both men talked about unity today. They said it's time for the community to come together, stop the divisiveness. They also pointed out that this really solidifies Duval County as a swing county, as a battleground county in future elections here in Florida. Live in Jacksonville, Riley Phillips, First Coast News, on your side.
Riley, thank you. 2 of Florida's 5 constitutional amendments on the ballot passed. Those 2 that passed, Amendment 2, which preserves the right to hunt and fish, including using traditional methods, and Amendment 5, which will require an annual adjustment for inflation for current and future homestead exemptions. Amendment 3 to legalize marijuana and Amendment 4, which deals with abortion rights, did not reach the 60% level in order to pass.
And so every single amendment on Florida's ballot this time around did get more than 50% of voters to vote yes. But like Anthony just mentioned, Only 2 actually passed, Amendments 2 and 5, by getting more than 60% of the vote. So why exactly is that percentage needed here in Florida? Well, it all goes back to a constitutional amendment in 2006 that aimed to raise the threshold needed to pass an amendment from a simple majority, or 50%, to a 60% majority. That amendment passed, and ironically, it actually only got 57.8% of the vote, still passing based on the threshold at that time. If you look at yesterday's numbers, here are the amendments right here that did not pass in Florida: 1, 3, 4, and 6. They all got more than 50%, but due to that 2006 decision, they will not pass and become law.
All 3 of the ballot measures in Georgia passed. Amendment 1, which deals with local homestead tax exemption, allowing the state's General Assembly to enact a law exempting a portion of a home's assessed value from property taxes. And Amendment 2, which creates a state tax court. And Georgia's Referendum A, which increases the value of personal property exempt from property taxes. Well, the city of Neptune Beach has a new mayor. Corey Byland won the election last night by about 1,000 votes. And our Zach Wilcox sat down with her today. He joins us live right now from the beach's town center. And Zach, this is the first time Neptune Beach will have a new mayor in a while.
Yeah, Anthony, Elaine Brown was elected in 2016, served 2 terms, so she's term limited out. So we were bound to see a new face, and it turns out that new face is going to be Corey Byland. So I went in, took the time to chat with her a little bit today about some of her short-term goals and some of her longer-term goals once she's in office.
I thought it was a really good opportunity for me to give back to our community.
Neptune Beach Mayor-elect Corey Byland's first idea for when she's sworn in is to add mayoral office hours and a town hall element to one of the monthly meetings.
People come and they sometimes leave disappointed. They feel like they're not heard. And that's not the case. They have been heard, but I think everybody will feel better if there's some sort of dialogue between the council and the people of the city.
Byland will also oversee the implementation of speeding ticket cameras at elementary schools in the city, a decision made by the city council before she took office.
I think we all want safety for our children, especially in those school areas.
As for one of the long-term issues she'll have to address over the next few years, it's the city's mandate to improve its wastewater system.
Let's say it would be like an injection system, and that's what they're looking at right now as the solution to the mandate that's going to be due in 2032.
Byland told me that she'll be sworn in December 3rd at 6 o'clock, and she'll join some familiar faces, at least at the other 2 beaches here, because down in Jacksonville Beach, you had Chris Hoffman get reelected last night, and in Atlantic Beach, Curtis Ford won by default because his opponent dropped out of the race. And speaking of Atlantic Beach, there were half a dozen referendums on that ballot, a really long ballot for Atlantic Beach voters. We'll talk about some of those referendums and what they'll mean moving forward coming up at 6 o'clock, and we'll cross right on over to the other side of Beach's Town Center to do that. In Neptune Beach, Zach Wilcox, First Coast News, on your side.
Zach, thank you. In St. Johns County, voters approved the 2 items on the ballot dealing with taxes in schools. 60% of voters said yes to continuing a half-cent sales tax for 10 more years. That money will go toward building new schools, maintenance, and technology. 68% of voters also approved a change to property taxes by increasing the millage rate by 1 mil for 4 years. 1 mil is $1 per $1,000 of assessed value, and that money will go toward paying teachers and staff. And the superintendent says he expects the pay per employee will increase by about $6,000.
It's a game changer, and especially in a school district like ours where it's a high cost of living. So the ability to support our employees in this way is valuable, and to retain the quality people that we have, to be able to pay them a wage that makes it affordable to live here and to sustain a career here.
And the superintendent says it will take at least another year for school employees to see the increase.